softness of their sun rays. Your eyes remain closed as you experience the bliss of all five senses receiving little simulation. This is idyllic. You get into a trance of being projected from here, now, into the future. Say you had a peek and got a glimpse of the most awesome being you can become. This is who you get to be and feel complete. No other you can be youer than this. You're here at the peak. It's the zenith for you. You made it. Say you also had the resources and willpower to be that being in the picture you see, and then the capacity to be even more. Say you had an idea, however impossible or fickle it may be, right at this minute on how to be that being. The trance ends. Now, welcome back to the reality of a world getting on after years of being shut in and muzzled with a mask. Welcome back to the reality of adjusting to a world trudging through a pandemic. Now we are back here. That being that was at peace, you can be it. That idea, write it down. What will you do differently now that you know you can be more?
Thank you, Jasmine. And then that lovely cutscene.
Auditorium.
So up next we will be
Do you have a powerful testimony?
inviting the keynote speakers off stage for the event today. I have two of the keynote speakers seated here. I'll be inviting first Victoria Flores. Victoria is a dedicated and accomplished human services professional. She's passionate about building stronger communities. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science and a certificate in public relations from the University of Regina, U of R. She has spent the past decade making a positive impact in the non-profit sector. Victoria began her career at the Regina Food Bank and moved on to become an employer liaison at Regina Open Doors Society in 2015. Here she used her skills and knowledge to help newcomers find employment and connect employers to a diverse workforce. I remember when I came in to the country in 2019, Regina Open Door was one of my first stops. They do wonderful things there to make sure people come in and settle as fast as possible. Thank you for what you do, Victoria. Today, Victoria serves as Rhodes Communications and Marketing Manager, where she continues to play a key role in the organization's mission of creating a welcoming and inclusive community. When she's not busy at work, she loves spending time with her furry best friend, Monty. I should introduce you to my son. I know, he loves dogs. And exploring Regina's many bike trails. Victoria also volunteers as an after-hours crisis line advocate with the Regina Sexual Assault Center. She also serves as the chair of the Heritage Community Association Board, where she strives to promote community engagement and growth. Please put your hands together as I welcome off stage Victoria Flores. The second person I'd like to invite off stage is a very personal big brother to me. he sent in a very short profile. I know his profile is longer than this. I will be adding some things that I know personally. I hope I don't get crucified for that subsequently. The next keynote speaker is Mr. Chukwuemeka Owechi. He is an IT professional, and I know he wears many caps. He is responsible for so many things. He is an accomplished IT professional. He is a business analyst. He is a project manager. He's a product owner, scrum master, and he is a cybersecurity expert as well. He has more than 15 years experience in managing and analyzing software development for different organizations. He has worked in various industries, in the oil and gas industry, public sector, private sector, finance sector. And there's something that he did not add here that I know about him as well. He does a lot of support in terms of charity and helping people settle when they come in. He's passionate about immigrants and has contributed to the success of Peculiar Connect, which is a non-profit organization that supports new immigrants that are settling in Canada. And he is currently the president of the Institution of International Business Analysts, IIBA, the Saskatchewan chapter, and the vice president of PPP Peculiar Connect in Canada. Please help me welcome Mr. Emeka Owechi. Should I tell them about the businesses? So thank you both for coming. We'll come back with a question and answer session, but I do know that you have to give your discourse and your speeches. So I'll let you start first. Victoria, please go ahead.
Thank you very much for that introduction. And just stand or sit here. Where would you like me?
Yeah.
I was very old school and brought paper copies, so I'm seeing everyone here very high tech with their phones. Should have done that. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me here today. I am very honored to be here, but I would really like to start by congratulating Ayo on today's event, your book launch, and everything you have accomplished. Your story is truly an inspiration of resilience and what it's like to accomplish and be an example to a community. I'm really honored to talk about the topic that is very close to my heart, which is breaking barriers and the influence of immigrants in Canada. I moved to Regina when I was 16 years old. And before that, I lived in the States for about a year and a half. And before that, I lived in about 3 different cities in my home country of Bolivia. So by the age of 16, I had a pretty good idea of what it's like to be the new kid somewhere. And I'll tell you, it's like starting a new level in a video game. You start, but you don't know the rules, you don't know the language, or you don't know the cheat codes, and it can be a little scary and a bit intimidating when you get started. But here's the thing. Once you crack the code, you realize that it's not so hard and that your goals can be accomplished and achieved. And as per your introduction, I also work at the Regina Open Door Society, and it's a nonprofit organization that helps newcomers settle and feel welcome in Regina. And every day, I get to meet people like Ayo, people like my colleague here, who have incredible stories of resilience and incredible life experiences. So with all of that experience, I've been able to live and witness the transformative impact that immigration has in a community. For many years, Canada has been known as a country of immigrants. From people from all over the world coming here to build a better life for themselves and their families. And as someone who has experienced this firsthand, I can tell you that the journey is not always easy. At the beginning, Ayo, you spoke to some of those challenges, and I think many of us here have felt and lived that. But I think that journey is well worth taking once we build community together. When I first arrived in Regina, it was a bit of a culture shock and a weather shock. I was definitely not prepared for the wind chills and the strategic layering that one has to do to even get out the door in winter. And I think many of us here, especially those of us who come from hot weather countries, can really relate to that. There are also very few newcomers and very few kids in my school who were newcomers. Many of them were the children of newcomers, so their life experiences were very different from mine. But over time, the landscape was changing. I started seeing more new faces, meeting people from all over the world. And believe it or not, I also really started to enjoy winter. You sometimes can find me biking out at -20 with my mom calling me on the phone, checking in, are you out biking? Why are you out there? It's -20. So today I meet people from all walks of life, from all corners of the globe. And I love to see the richness and culture and knowledge and experiences that they bring to our city. I truly believe that this diversity is what has made Canada such a unique and vibrant place. It has allowed us to break down barriers and build bridges between different cultures and communities. But it's not just about diversity. It's also about the contributions that immigrants have made to Canada, from the arts to healthcare, to sciences, from businesses to politics. Immigrants have played a crucial role in shaping our society and driving our economy forward. I was still a teenager when I moved here, so my life experience was limited. However, I have seen firsthand how the skills of my parents have brought with them and have been put to use here in Canada. And I know that they're not alone. There are countless newcomers who have contributed to the growth of our community in so many ways, and who continue to do that every day. Many of you here are just such an important part of what makes up our community. Ayo's resilience and perseverance to reach her goals, not only professionally, but in sharing her story and bringing us all together here today, is a great example of those contributions and how they impact community building. So, as we celebrate the incredible diversity of our nation, let us also celebrate the contributions of our immigrants. Let us recognize the sacrifices they have made and the challenges they have overcome and the positive impact they have made in our society. I'm proud to call myself a newcomer in this city, and I am grateful for the opportunities and experiences this country has given me. I am confident that with the continued contributions of newcomers, Canada will remain a beacon of hope and diversity for generations to come. Once again, congratulations, Ayo. Thank you for bringing us here today and for sharing this beautiful story with all of us.
Do you have
Thank you for
powerful
that,
testimony?
Victoria. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Emeka for his keynote speech as well.
Okay, I don't know if I should sit or stand. If I stand, I would think okay, they say I should stand. So I will think that I'm preaching. So if I'm doing that, just wave your hand so that I'll come back so I know I'm not preaching. First of all, I want to congratulate our dear sister Ayo for doing a wonderful job. It's not everybody that have the opportunity or have the dream or plan to even write a book down. And for the fact that she took that step, I'm encouraged, I am happy, and I want to congratulate you. It's a great thing that you have done. You may not understand it. If you leave this world and there's nothing people can read about you, then you have not actually done anything or impact or influence the world. So for the fact that you leave a book, anytime you leave this world, that book will be touching somebody, somewhere's life, encouraging people. So thank you for putting this together. Again, I just want to go back from the things that I read in the book. There are thoughts, experiences that you had gone through, and I want to appreciate you for that. Now, some of those things will make sense to most of us, coming back from where Ayo came from, like her struggles, her experiences, trying to gain admission when she lost her dad, and how she was moving from one step to the other. It was not an easy task, especially when you're done with high school. Here in Canada, once you're done, you can go into university. But back home, when you are done, you have to take what we call a JAM exam, like an entrance, to get into university. It doesn't mean that you are not good, but they just want to check you. And there's a certain score that you must get. If you don't get it, you wait. And sometimes you can wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And sometimes it might be the other way around, like the other exam, which is GCE, just to complement your scores to enter. So some of us will have this experience. So you had that experience, you were able to break through and then proceed further. Now, let's fast forward to this place where you were thinking about coming to Canada, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Moving to a new environment, a new land, a new place, and thinking on how to succeed, how to break ground, how to break limits. So I will describe your force like the force of an aeroplane. Now, until you take off, you don't know how good you are. But you took off like an aeroplane, and you were soaring on high. On the ground, the plane is useless. It has to be up. So for the fact that you came on board into a new land, a strange land, not knowing what will become of you, and then you took up a hat, a calling that I cannot take, that, I want to study this particular course. It's something to commend you about. I remember coming into Canada as well and trying to, navigate the system. My colleague here said she came when she was 16, so it was easy for her to come up. But for those of us that had come of age, it was a struggle. I enrolled in Sachs Poly, and I was just 3 months into the course, and I was looking at this, and I said, oh my God, I've done this in Nigeria now. I know what I did. I told my coordinator, my supervisor, that I don't think I'm going to do this. And she was like, if you don't do it, you will not succeed. I said, come see me succeed. And I left it. Now, I didn't proceed with that. But that didn't mean I didn't succeed. I succeeded. But you had that courage. Nursing in Canada is not easy, especially when you're an immigrant. But you were able to go through the first stage, the second stage, the third stage, which is the years. And at the end of the day, you made it. Not just making it. You even went ahead to even put down something for every one of us, to encourage newcomers, immigrants that are coming on board, to say, this is what I did. This is how you can also navigate and also how you can succeed. So I just want to appreciate you for that. And I also encourage everyone here to please grab a copy of that book when it's time for you to do so. And please make sure you give one to one of these, the new immigrant that you will be meeting or someone that you'll be, talking with soon. So today, I just want to celebrate Ayo for putting this together and also recognize everyone here, our contribution. I understand our diversity in Canada. We are multi-diversified in this country, meaning we have different countries put together, making us who we are in this part of the world. And I know Canada has become that beacon of hope and opportunity for people all over the world. And just to say this, that the topic that was put forth before us today, which is breaking barriers and influence of immigrants in Canada, in Canada's uniformity, it is a fitting theme for me. Why did I say so? Because as immigrants, we play a critical role in breaking down barriers, building bridges between different cultures, languages, and tradition. So through our hard work and yours as well, and dedication and resilience, immigrants have made significant contributions to Canada economy, its culture, its society. Now, putting this together has not been easy. I had to, write, cancel. I don't know if it's easy for you. But I've been able to put on some little things that will say you have achieved a feat and a height that most people will not be able to do. And I celebrate you, and many more success ahead of you, and many more achievement that you will attain. And I also want to recognize that you have challenges that you were able to break, you faced, you conquered, you succeed. And I want to say, go forward. You see going to conquer, you see challenges, but you see be triumphant, and you become great. I know this will not be the last book that we're getting to read from you. We're expecting more, and God help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I have to keep the two of you here
Do
because
you
there
have
will be
powerful
questions that
testimony
you
of
will
God's
help us
goodness
answer.
in you?
But I would like to turn our attention to the book briefly. Mr. Emeka here touched on a very important thing. Nursing is not easy. Chapter 12 of the book, on Ayo's orientation day, she said, 40 expectant faces sat in a room filled with computers and other hardware, eager to be introduced to what getting a nursing degree entails. The projector was on, and the sequence of the day's event was displayed boldly on it. The first speaker stepped to the podium and acknowledged that the land we were living on belonged to the First Nations people. After that came the introductions. And when I told those at my table I was a mom of 2 and expecting my 3rd child, they were shocked. The only other old person was 19. Imagine being in a class and you look like auntie to all of your classmates. Things went by quickly, and with every speaker came more feelings of dread. Were we making the right decision? One of the facilitators had asked a bemused smile. One of the facilitators had asked us, a bemused smile playing on the corners of his lips. You know those kind of lecturers, and they'll be looking at you with a side eye. Okay. And the question was, what have you heard about nursing school? Do you think it's hard? No, said half of the class. Yes, said the other half. I stared at everyone around me, confused. We could not even agree on that. Have you reached a decision now? Okay, we'll come to that during the question and answer segment. I just wanted to touch on that statement you mentioned because there are so many things about nursing. And if you take a sample of 10 people and you ask them the same question, I bet you maybe 50-50, one will say it's difficult and the other will say it's easy, even if you ask practicing professionals. So we'll go ahead with the rest of the program, and we'll have a brief note from the Regina Women's Immigration Center. Immigrating from one place where you are fully established to somewhere new, it's a major step. Sometimes you give or you leave behind what you have on hand to go forth and pursue some things that are very uncertain. So we have someone here with us that runs the Regina Women's Center for Immigrants. That'll just help us with a brief note what they do and how they can provide support for new immigrants before we proceed with the rest of the session. Please put your hands together as I welcome June.
Hi everyone, my name is June and I'm from, it's okay. I'm from Regina Immigrant Women's Center. We call it, for sure, it's RIWC. Our executive director, Nilu, was supposed to be one of the keynote speakers, but unfortunately she's having a really bad sore throat and she can't talk. So she sends her regrets. And I'm just going to read out a card that she sent to you. Dear Ayo, congratulations on the launch of your book, The Nurseling. It's inspiring, and your memoirs is a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience of immigrant women. We are proud to have been a part of your journey when you first arrived in Regina, and we are thrilled to see you fulfilling your dreams. Your courage to pursue your passion in nursing is remarkable and sets an excellent example for others. Thank you for sharing your story with the world. Best wishes, Nilu, RAWC. Thank you. So what should I do now? Sorry, I'm not prepared at all to be on stage. Yeah. I'm the zone coordinator, and Regina Immigrant Women's Center is similar to Regina Open Doors. We help newcomers to settle down and smoothly integrate into Regina community. And we have various free programs to help you. We have language program, digital training, employment programs, family support, and also seniors programs. So if you have any parents who are bored at home and wants to get out and make new friends and do some activities, the program is excellent for them. And we also have provide wellness activities, free Zumba, yoga, cooking class, nutrition class, workshops that you can join too. So our location is in Golden Mile. So if you have any needs or you have any friends who just arrive in Regina and need any help, just go to us at the Golden Mile, and you will miss us. We are situated next to the Rainbow Cinema, which is unfortunately closed down. I miss the popcorn smells, but you can easily find us there. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Up next will be a special music by Simi. Is Simi anywhere close by? Okay. Just before Simi comes up stage, I'm sure we have a few questions that would like to ask Ayo, and perhaps the keynote speakers as well. I'm interested in the conversation about you writing and deleting and writing all over and deleting again. And then I'll ask Ayo some questions with regard to that too. So please put down your questions. You can pass it over to the man at the back of can you raise your hands? You can pass your questions to him, and then we'll ask right after Simi's music. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to be here. I want to say thank you so much for inviting me. You've been a wonderful sister and a wonderful friend, and for the privilege of even standing to be able to, sing at a wonderful day and a wonderful occasion for you and your family. I just want to say congratulations, and for everyone that has not seen me before, my name is Simi Ese, and I will be singing 2 songs today. So first song is a song of celebration, song of testimonies, and just to give glory to God Almighty. And the second song is a song from way back, so you may listen to some, languages that you don't understand, but you just flow with the moment, okay? So the first song is titled Come and See, and the second song is titled Ajanoku. So, for everyone that is Nigerian will understand, or that is Yoruba in Nigeria will understand the meaning of Ajanoku, which is an elephant. So, right after the first song, I will give you a brief story of how the second song came to be. All right, let's go.
Oh mercy, what
Listen, what the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. That's why I'll sing and celebrate. 'Cause awesome is your name. Awesome is your name. This I will sing. This I will sing. This I will sing. Awesome is your name. I will testify. Awesome is your name. This I will sing. This I will sing. This I will sing. 'Cause you are great. You are great. Yes, Lord. You are great. You are great. Yes, you are God. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, for the second song, it's a song that was born out of an understanding of the difference between I and God, or the difference between anyone and the Almighty God. Because whenever we get to a stage in our life where we feel, oh yes, we are made. Oh yeah, I've got money. Oh yeah, I've got a wonderful car. I've got this, I've got that. It's usually easy for people to start, feeling like the Almighty. Now, this song talks about how you could stay humble. Talks about how you could bring down that level and take God as the Almighty. So now the title Ajanoku was born out of, for everyone that has been to the zoo and you've seen an elephant, you see how big an elephant is. But what do we say? We keep saying that the lion is the king of the jungle. And that is just what God is the lion of the tribe of Judah. And for that, even though we behave like an elephant, but God is still the king. Hallelujah.
Before I say you did my agenda, you did bless me since I don't surrender. Now I don't get any propaganda. See me before I did drive Amanda. You just they look me, they smile from yonder. They wait the time when you go see me eye to eye. I feel alone, yet falling from your your grace. My pride has gone almighty. I'm pompous to my brain. Feel on top of the world where people be like night. You asked to keep your prospects. I told you that I can't. Ajana kule mi go, Muloba. You picked me up from the floor and made me dine with the kings. My life is filled with attractions, commanding both great and small. My words now contain with you. I cannot cool me go in the Ulaba. Ajana kule mi go in the Ulaba. Yeah, you give me, yeah. Alako suwaru, alako jo. Anything that will gain, I will my young. So good like a rainbow, beautiful up in the skies, will surely come to an end in a day. Wonderful times still written on the sands of time by the shores, will at last be swept by the tides on and on. Ajana kule mi go, kini ulaba. Ajana kule mi go, kini ulaba. Ajana kule mi go, kini ulaba. Yeah. Ajana kule mi go, kini ulaba.
Thank you, Simi, for that wonderful rendition. Before Simi came up here, I asked us to put down questions that we would have in mind for the author. So I would like to bring her off stage now to put her on the hot seat. I've got a few questions of mine. I will be asking the keynote speakers too if you have questions for them. Please, let's welcome Ayo off stage. And after this, there will be the official launching of the book, so I would like the person responsible for that to get prepared. Okay. So, I have a copy of my book here. Just let me grab it. for the introduction of this book, you quoted something very powerful from Shannon Alda. And it says, some stories must be written. Pointing cue to what you mentioned, that you've got something on ground that generations to come would refer to. Long after you're gone, this book will remain. It says, some stories must be written, or else no one would believe the possibility of it all. And the first line in the paragraph says, I enjoy writing. If there is something most people dread, it is writing. Why did you feel it was important to write this memoir?
This is so on the spot. I have always wanted to write. Growing up, when people talk about what you could do as a passion, something that you really enjoyed doing as a hobby, and people had swimming and biking and cooking and all of those things, I had writing as my passion. So it's something I've always wanted to do. But I found that with nurses, immigrant nurses, we didn't really have that resource, something that we could look out for, reach out to, like something that was documented. So you hear a lot of people talk about their experiences in nursing school. I mean, if I talk to all the people, my core nursing students, people who went to nursing school with me, who are currently in nursing school, everyone here has their own side of the story. And there were many people before me, but there was nothing that I could really go to read as an inspiration. So I just, like I mentioned in the book, I was combining two passions, enjoying writing and finally finding something I loved to do. That was what birthed the idea of putting my experiences together in a book. Thank you.
It's a beautifully written book. I guess the part B of that question is something that is often called a writer's block, when sometimes you have a thought in your head, perhaps when you're doing something else, and you just put down the first paragraph. All of a sudden you go blank. And it's possible you go blank for days or weeks. Did you experience that, and how did you overcome it if you experienced that?
Yes, I did experience writer's block, mostly because one big part of it was that this book was written while I was in nursing school. Mm-hmm. And it should have been launched just with my graduation, but there's a lot of backstory to that, so we'll leave that out. Yes, I did have writer's block because I was supposed to focus on academic writing, not telling stories about my life. And most times I would just lose track. But somebody who really encouraged me, who isn't here today, but hopefully gets to know this, is Anita Adefuye. She's a sister in my church family and a friend too. And as soon as I mentioned the thought of writing a book, she wouldn't let it go. It was just like, every time she saw me, she would be like, how far with your book? Where are you now? And I would like to see what you've written. And she was just on it. So there was no way I could give up because there was someone holding me accountable. And then again, because I'm trying to commit to be a writer. And how are you a writer if you're not even published? So that was it for me.
So there was only someone.
Yes, she held me accountable, yes. All the steps of the way. The book was already done and written before my husband even saw it, before any other person knew. Anita was the only person who knew that I was writing a book, and chapter after chapter, she just wanted to know what I was doing, and that kind of helped to keep me on track.
That's wonderful. Do we have anyone with a question? Okay. Please note it down and hand it over to... Please note down your question and hand it over to the person behind, so we'll get it across.
I'm usually good with instructions and writing things down, but I kind of had a lot to say to set up the question. So the question is for Victoria and for Mr. Emeka as well. I have two questions. Let me confess before I start. So the book is awesome, and I'm going to get to it. But I wanted you to talk a little bit about the place for higher institutions in immigration and in integrating. So Mr. Emeka mentioned how he started out at SAS Poly, and that didn't work out for him, and he knew and he understood himself enough to use other resources to set him up for his career and to integrate. And I want you to talk a bit about that. But for Victoria, can you shed light on just that, like the place of higher institutions in integration? Is it necessary? And just talk a little bit about that, please.
Sure, thank you for your questions. You said, just to clarify, is it necessary? Is that what you meant?
Is it necessary in two ways, right? How does it help the integration process? And if it's avoided or it can be avoided, what other resources would you suggest in place?
For sure, for sure. So it's a really great question, and I think there is no one answer because everyone has such different life experiences and different goals. And when we look at the professional realm and employment and career goals, when it comes to regulated professions, sometimes it can't be avoided, right? Like, for example, if you want to be a nurse, in your case, even though you had all this experience with you, you had to do it again. And at Open Door, we see that all the time, people with all this incredible experiences, and they come here and then there's like, okay, well, your profession is regulated and you need to meet this, this, and that. So it is necessary in a sense that if your goal aligns with something that is regulated, you will have to go through those processes. However, I don't think it's necessary for everybody. I have seen many people shift careers or explore different things that are not necessarily aligned to having to go back to academia or university, because it's a big investment, not just money, but a lot of time as well. And I think, as you mentioned, like people that arrive later in life, like when I came here, I started from high school, so things were a little bit different. But when people have all this experience and have done all of that already, it can be really tough to weigh in. Like, am I going to invest another 4 years and thousands of dollars for a goal? And sometimes it's very well worth it. Sometimes there is other creative ways to do that. In technology, for example, it's such the barrier to entry to that field is so much different than a regulated profession like education or medicine. So in many cases, people are able to break into careers and achieve their goals without having to do that. But I think the other purpose of secondary education institutions is community building as well, especially if that's something that is part of your goals. You get to meet people who are like-minded, who have knowledge that you can learn from, mentors, building networks. So there's a lot of value, but I do recognize that it's a big privilege to be able to go through with that. There's investment in money and time, and also just capacity, because sometimes we're overwhelmed when we have families and things like that. So it wasn't a straightforward answer, but I think, like I said, if any of you or anybody that you know are, exploring that route, like what are you going to do, whether it's continue with a master, and we know a lot of newcomers, we have masters and PhDs, and the education achievements of newcomers are always incredible, and I'm always so inspired. But if that's a goal that you want to go for, IO is a great inspiration for that. Go for it. You have written so beautifully about how you set those goals and how you plan to do this, even from studying for your exam and breaking down the chapters and all of that. So if that's a goal, I highly encourage it, but also know that there's definitely other ways to reach those goals as well.
Okay, so for me, I'll take it this way. My experience may not be the same with yours, and the way I navigated this environment also is quite different and unique. So I came in, and normally when you come in, you go to the school, they will do an assessment of you, and then they will give you an advice of what you should be doing. And I was told, you can become a policeman. You get, they listed about 6 things that, I should, I can do. And I was looking out of those 6 things, man, there was none that I had passion for. And there was none that I even thought about or dreamt about. So, but, I decided to do something different. And that was health information system. So just a month into, I just saw a whole lot of assignments. You have to do this, you have to do that. And I was going through them. They were no different from what I've done back home. I mean, most of us that migrated here, we are economic immigrants, so which means we've been working, we've gone to school, we had experience. So I looked at it, I said, okay, 2 years, student loan, I added the whole thing. It didn't make sense for me. That's me speaking. So I had to go back. My supervisor has told me you won't succeed. And I said, no, I will. So I went back, looked at myself, and I said to God, this is what I want to do. Continue where I left from, and I can make it. I don't have to. Some people can do that, and it's not wrong to come into this environment like I did and take a 4-year degree course. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think I have what it takes for me to go into the workforce and make a difference. So that's what I did. I only took a 2 weeks course. That's what I did. Took some certification, and then I started applying. And the first job I got wasn't what I wanted, but I was doing it, and I kept my hope and my aspiration high and up. While I was doing it, I didn't settle down for that. Most people, some of my colleagues were good. I had somebody that said, this job, I'll do it like in the next 4 or 5 years. They were just doing calculation. Me, I wasn't thinking that way. I was like, the next 2 weeks or a month, I should be out of here. So when I got the job, like my daughter would say, the job. When I landed the job and I shared it with my colleagues, they were all shocked. I met them there. Some were already going to school. And they were like, how did you do it? Well, I had a focus. I had a dream in mind that I can achieve this. So for immigrants, if you hit a new environment, a new ground, a new place like this, you don't have to go back. Some of us, it will work for us. Some, it may not work for us. I have people that have said, if I had known, I would have not gone to take that course. It was just a waste of time. But I tell you, there are things you will learn. After I got the job, I took a 6-month course with Sachs Poly. Why did I take that? I just wanted to learn some difference in the way they handle project and manage projects in this part of the world. And it added value to me. Added value in the sense that when employers look at your resume and they say, you took this course, they will want to call you and give you the job. And also, I stood out amongst my colleagues because when you talk about projects, I don't have to look at the book. I know it because I did practical works when it comes to handling projects. So I can say from A to B, this is what you need to do. And when you apply them, you will get the result. So for immigrant, my advice is go back after they tell you what they think you should be. But I think you also should know what you ought to become. And ask your God, because I'm a faith person, which means I serve a God that I always go back to, hear from him and get consent. So go back and ask God, what do you think I should do? Then he will direct you and give you a pathway to follow. But that's just my short advice on how you can navigate the system here. Thank you.
Thank you. One more question?
I promise.
Short.
Just one more. Thank you. Those are beautiful answers. So this one is on the book itself. So just for context, my background is in English literature, and I just finished teaching an English 110 course. And one of the focuses was Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, also a biography. So I must confess, when I picked up the book, I had a pen in hand to look for grammatical errors, and I didn't find one. So that's like an achievement. That's a big achievement. And for people that do read Open Heavens, for Bible study, my dad is also an English prof. He would have a pen and he would circle all the grammatical errors. That's how ingrained it is in me. So my question really is on the progression of things, like the chapters and how it starts from you as a child and growing up, and how did you think of sequencing things that way? Did you start out, basically my question is on plots, did you start out with the ending, because I've heard that that's how some people write. The other question that's inbuilt into that is on details. So I know lots of writers have this thing where they go back and then they think of details that they want to stand out within each chapter, and they go back and add those in because those are the grabs for the readers. And I'm asking this question because it was such a seamless read. Like, honestly, it was beautiful. The language, the diction was excellent. The plot, even the characters, like the few times where you bring your mom in or you talk about meeting your husband, like just those little things, or a prof or a friend, it was just really awesome. So, yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Tomi. He just stepped out now, but I would have loved to recognize the presence of someone whose influence on my Canadian journey and success has been very instrumental. He's the pastor of my church here. He's Pastor Lekon Shaba, and when he comes in, I would just like him to make himself known. He's a worthy mentor. So to the book and how the plot came about, like I said, I didn't start out to just write the book in a seamless projection, and I'm honored, Tomi, because I do not take your review for granted, knowing your background. So I started writing at the very beginning, yes, because I wanted to talk about how my life's story, and if you've read the book, you understand why I mentioned my life story, was important. It was crucial to go back to the beginning of how all of me came to be and why I was supposed to be here, born in the first place. I was very impatient as a child, and my colleague here, Jose, I was a 32-weeker. So I was a preemie, and I've always fought for everything I had. Like, I've always been very resilient, and I'm not giving up. So I started from the very beginning so people could relate to where I was coming from. And all of those details were important because if you were reading my story and you didn't know those things, it wouldn't be relatable for you. And there's something I have in common with many people here, and a few things that are specific that makes me stand out. And all of those had to be in the book because, again, I was trying to tell a captivating story. On the other hand, I read a lot of books. Like, if there's anyone who knows me, people know that's my major passion, right? I've read a lot of books. At my last count, I've read over 5,000 books, fiction and non. So I kind of tried to borrow a few styles, and I've noted like the progression of biographies and memoirs and how they're written. So I just incorporated that into my book as well. I didn't know what the end of the book was going to be like because I wasn't sure what I wanted the end to be until I had finally written that chapter. And I'm glad I kind of put that out there at the end because it summarizes the bus stop where I was at the point in time where the book was published. But for a keen reader, you can tell that that is not where my story ends. There's more to come. There's going to be an evolution of my career as a nurse. There's going to be more to come from my nursing fiction angle. And I do hope that whenever you see my name on the book stands, you really want to grab a copy. Thank you.
Thank you. So the second keynote speaker had to urgently attend to something. I'll be taking his seat. Not as a keynote speaker, though. So one question for you, because our time is fast spent. And in case you want to take a light refreshment, coffee, tea, we've got some at the back, so you can help yourself out, preferably in an orderly manner, so that we can keep the discussion going. So your question, please.
Okay, good. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. My question, sorry for that. The first question is this. what was your first degree, vis-a-vis you studied nursing? Secondly, the word nurseling. I was afraid when I saw the word. So what was first degree, vis-a-vis you changing your career? And what does nurseling mean? For me, it's technical. Thank you.
So I studied biological sciences. I'm a botany major. And for the nursling, so I'm casting my mind back to the first day of mental health rotation, 304 nursing students. So we were on 1D East at the Regina General, and this psych nurse comes and says, "Oh, nurslings, you've arrived." And like you, I was struck. I was like, nursling. And I kind of asked him afterwards, like conversationally, "What does nursling mean?" And he said, "Oh, you're just like seedlings, baby nurses. You're not there yet. Like, so until you get your license, you're still a nursling." So I tried to relate that to my botany experience, and a seedling that is not yet a tree, that is still in the process of forming all the flowers, the fruits, going through the reproductive process to become a mature, like to get to the end process. So, and if you do not pass through the stage of becoming a seed, you will not have a fruit. You will not have a consumable product, so to speak. So you have to be first a nursling. It's a process before you become the nurse. That's the whole idea.
Thank you. Okay, he's back. I've got one more question, or several questions actually. You were very open while writing out some of your childhood experiences, and you were not afraid to be, for lack of better words, to be vulnerable in some part of the book. There were constant references to your late dad in the book, which is something major. That me, for one, I did not know your dad was late. And I guess my question is, how important was his impact towards your education at such a tender age when you lost him? And it appears from the book that the tiny instructions as an educationist that he laid or he planted into you stayed with you even up to this moment. How important was his influence in your decision to go ahead to write this book?
Thank you. First off, I would like to add that my dad was also a published writer when he was alive. He wrote more than a few books. So that was inspirational for me. My mom also is a writer as well. And so I have writer parents, so to speak.
And by the way, the mom is at the back of...
Yes. Mom, you wave at everyone.
Wave for everyone to see.
Yes, so my dad. He was a wonderful person, and thank you. He had such a positive influence on us girls. Before we eventually had a brother, there were us 3 girls, like I wrote in the book, and my dad was so proud of us. I think he gave us like an overwhelming sense of self-confidence. Like he gave us too much self-confidence such that we didn't know that there was something that we could not do as girls or as humans. There was nothing that you set out to do that looked like an impossibility. My dad was the one person that was a positive pusher. If you're very familiar with the Nigerian standard of education, I was in secondary school from primary 4. I didn't have to do primary 5 and 6 because I said I wanted to try the common entrance. He let me do it. I passed in flying colors, and that was it. He was somebody who was he just had this very positive attitude towards everything. And if you ever mentioned to my dad that you were going to do something, he would tell you you could do it. He wouldn't even tell you there were risks involved. He will just push you positively until we finally get the result. So all of those things kind of went with me. And when I went to the university, I was kind of far from home. But I always remembered the things that he had talked to me about, and how he will always mention that it was important to remember the daughter of whom you are. And he never said, you were my child. He will always say, you were God's child. So all of those things were a positive influence for me. And whenever there was the temptation to wander or the temptation to do something else that wasn't fitting in with the goals of why I was in school, I always remembered the kind of person my father was and if he would have been proud of me. And till date, that has been one of my driving force. And I always... I'm sorry.
Take your time.
I always hope, for some reason, that he's really proud wherever he is right now. He was such a positive person and strong influence, because he just made me think that I found out too late that there were some things I could not do because of him. He just made it look like you could do everything. You wanted to learn how to drive fine. You wanted to learn how to change the tire of a vehicle, and you were a girl. And he would talk to all of his friends and make us look like gems and priceless people. And it took a while for me to even know that we were not as financially buoyant as we were, because he was just that kind of father. He was always there for his girls. So this is a tribute to him.
I am pretty sure he's proud of you. You've come out great, and to know that the statement that you should always remember the daughter of who you are still lives with you, it's something wonderful. Do we have anybody with another question, please, before we proceed? Okay, one last question before we go for the official launching of the book. And this is on a lighter note. You referenced your dislike for TV shows that kids would generally like. You prefer to play with, as at 8, 9 years old, you prefer to play with boys that are of your age than girls. And you mentioned that you were always having a runny nose. You like you always having kata. Who among your kids took after that?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, your mommy said that, not me. So it's been wonderful talking to the three of you. Thank you for all you do and what you're doing. Can we just put our hands together for them as we go for... You may go back to your seats, please. Yes. Next up would be the official launching of the book. Like I said earlier, you can help yourself with some snacks at the back. Oh, I think they're passing it around, so you can be on your seat, and there is coffee if you want to take that. For the official launch of the book, I would like to call up a brother, a big brother, and a friend. is the owner and the managing director of Lucky Lakes Building Services. Please put your hands together as I welcome up stage my big brother, Mr. Lucky Aluge.
Thank you so much. Wow, it's an honor to be standing here. I'm going to be talking like a businessman. You know, we have talked about the intellectual aspect, we've talked about everything. Let's talk about the business aspect. Do you know this is the most important aspect of this show? This is the most important now. 20 chapters of a book. 20 chapters in one book. That's 3 books for me. The first one, 8 chapters. I will tell you, watch out for second one. The second one, I will bring 7 chapters. The third one, I will bring 6 chapters. So that's 3 books. So if you buy the books today, what does that mean? You have bought 3 books. Do you agree with me? So we are about to buy 3 books in one. And I quickly reference what she titled here, Faith is Written in Pencil. Who, for those of us from the African background, you know what that means. When you are in a gathering and you see one woman in a white garment, in a white raiment, and she was jumping here and there, and they call you out in a gathering like this and say, at age so and so, you are going to die. In fact, you are dead already. Praise God. For somebody to put together such, experiences, and that reminds some of us where we're coming from. I want to salute your courage. But you did something I didn't like. Where is she? You didn't put my name. I'm your husband's friend. Madam, I'm going to disfriend your husband. You didn't put my name in the book. I didn't see my name. And you told us you can, 3 things she said. 1, that she likes reading, right? Number 2, that she likes doing what? She likes writing. The third one, she likes doing what? She likes singing. Madam, you will sing today. Praise God. All right. So she has actually been able to do justice to this, and I can tell you it's value for money. I encourage every one of us here to grab a copy, not just a copy. As for me, I'm going to get a copy for myself, and I'm going to get one for my wife, and of course, I'm going to get one for my son. So I want to encourage every one of us to pick at least a copy for ourselves and also for our spouses if they are not here, and reserve one for maybe your children, depending on how many children you have. And remember, I started by saying that this book is 3 in 1. So me, I'm taking 3. That means I'm going home with 6 copies. So Mr. MC, I start by taking 3 copies for myself, 1 for myself, 1 for my wife, and 1 for my daughter. My son, rather. And I still have a daughter too. So that's 4. Holy, making 8 books in all. All right, let's celebrate God for this wonderful feat as I open the floor with 4 copies of this book. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would not want to put everyone on the spot to get 4 copies too. Being the MC, I already have 1 complimentary copy. So that's for me. And then I'm going to get 2 more copies, 1 for my wife and 1 for my daughter. My son is not old enough to read, so he will read my old copy. So I'll just encourage us to individually grab a copy there before we leave. And what you'll be getting is not just a copy of the book. You'll also be getting the autograph of the writer. Now, remember, people that bought original copies, 20 years down the line, those copies go for millions. I'll tell you something. Michael Jordan wore Air Force One in the late 80s for his Chicago Bulls days. Right now, that shoe is about some millions in dollar value just to buy it. And it keeps exchanging hand. You bid for it and you pay millions for it. So if you are getting an original, autographed original now, that you know, where is AY? In her seedling days and nursling days. By the time she becomes a professor of nursing and an accomplished author, people will want to grab that original one for you. Perhaps later on in life, you can sell it for millions of dollars. So I'll encourage you to grab at least one copy or multiple copies for yourself, for a friend, for a family, and for your loved ones. So if you turn back just at my right-hand side at the back of the church, you can pick a copy there. You'll be getting it autographed there, and you can have the privilege of taking a photo with the author right there and then. But take your time. We shouldn't all approach there at a go. We should do it methodologically. Thank you so much. So at this point, I would like to call on Mr. Tunde Babalola. Can we put our hands together for him as he comes forth for his closing remarks? For those of you that do not know, the reason for the elongated clapping is that this is the husband of the author. Did you inspire this book?
I hope so. So this is just to say thank you to the Almighty God for making today a reality. Thank Him for life. He gave us life to be here today, and we are here. This program is a success. All thanks be to Him. Also, I want to thank everyone for making our time out of your busy schedule to be here today. We don't take it very lightly. We are grateful from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you. Thank you to the speakers, Pastor Emeka, Victoria. Thank you so much. And also would like to thank you. Thank you. And I want to appreciate my pastor, Pastor Shaba. Thank you so much for inspiring this. I know he was one of those that really inspired this in her, because he said, when you have that idea, put it down. He's always saying that rings a bell, and we want to say thank you, sir. Thank you to all my friends. I wouldn't be able to mention everyone's name individually, but we appreciate you. God bless you as you go. You have a safe drive back home, and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. God bless you. Thank you all.
Okay, officially the meeting is not completely closed. You can go right to the back, grab a copy of the book, take a photo with the author, and have your book signed by her. Thank you so much for coming.
As I count these blessings, it occurred to me that there's never been a time you ain't been good to me. Kind and patient, wonderful. Your love is amazing, so glad I'm yours. Hear the cares of life, just want some time with me. And I get lonely and lose sight of all our history. You've been consistent when I forget it. You give me hints to help me remember. All alone, all alone, you've been there. All alone, all alone, all alone. There my tears away so I won't lose the sorrow. While you sleep when I know that you hold tomorrow. The way you care for me